Welcome to the deep dive. This one actually comes from a lesson over on SpeakDuo.com, which, if you don't know it, is a great place to, meet people from all over, practice your English speaking on video calls, and really get more confident. But today we're doing a deep dive into some advanced English idioms, just the kind of phrases that can really level up your language toolkit.
Okay, so let's jump right in. First one, you've probably heard this a lot, silver lining. Super common.
Oh yeah, definitely. A silver lining. It's basically finding that positive, that hopeful bit in a bad situation, something good that comes out of something bad. But the nuance, maybe for more advanced users, is that it often feels a bit unexpected, like you weren't looking for it, but there it is.
Okay. So not just forcing positivity, but actually spotting a real, maybe unintended benefit.
Exactly.
Like maybe during lockdown, the silver lining was spending more time with family, even though the situation itself was tough. That's a perfect example. It really makes you think, doesn't it? Have you ever found a silver lining in a tough spot? Like maybe you missed a flight, but ended up discovering a really cool little town you wouldn't have seen otherwise. Stuff like that.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Okay, interesting. So finding the good often leads to thinking about what's truly important, right? Which brings us nicely to our next phrase, to prioritize something. What do you find yourself needing to, value most right now?
Right. To prioritize. It just means deciding something is more important than other things, giving it more focus, more time, maybe more resources. It's an active choice, you're deliberately putting something first. We often talk about prioritizing tasks or health or even relationships.
That active choice part is key, I think, especially when life gets busy. The example feels spot on. You need to prioritize your health, especially during stressful times. Easy to say.
Harder to do, absolutely. And that really gets you thinking, what's something you've actually learned to prioritize more recently? Maybe something you didn't focus on before. For instance, I know I've really started prioritizing sleep. I just noticed how much it impacts everything else, my mood, concentration.
Oh, definitely. Sleep is huge.
Yeah.
Okay, shifting from internal focus to how we interact with others.
Yeah.
Next up, to be upfront about something. How direct are you usually?
To be upfront. It basically means being honest and direct, plain speaking. But maybe the deeper layer is that it often implies being proactively honest, like choosing to share something clearly, maybe even when it's a bit awkward.
Proactively honest. I like that.
Yeah, laying your cards on the table, so to speak.
That makes sense, because sometimes it feels easier not to be upfront,
Yeah.
to avoid that initial discomfort, like the example. It's better to be upfront about your expectations in a relationship. Avoid so much trouble later, probably.
Exactly. That fear of immediate awkwardness can stop people. But think about yourself. Are you generally someone who's upfront with your feelings? Or do you maybe hold back sometimes? It's just about knowing your style, I suppose. Being upfront can actually show a lot of respect.
True. Okay, from communication.
Yeah.
Let's talk about building things, creation, from the ground up.
Uh,
That phrase always makes me think of starting something totally new, like a business maybe.
yeah, it definitely has that entrepreneurial vibe. From the ground up means starting literally from nothing, zero base.
And building it completely. It implies a lot of effort, dedication, but it doesn't have to be a business. It could be any project where you're really laying the foundation yourself without much outside help or a pre-existing structure.
Okay, I see. So it's broader than just startups, like maybe learning a skill totally from scratch could count, or building a habit.
For sure.
Have you ever built something from the ground up? Even something small? Yeah. Actually, I created a personal blog a while back, completely from the ground up, figuring out the platform, the design, everything, and it's grown quite a bit, which feels good.
That's cool, that feeling of doing it yourself.
It really is empowering, starting from square one.
Okay, so building things often requires support, right? Which leads us to lean on someone. So important having that support system.
Absolutely crucial. To lean on someone, it means relying on them for emotional support, maybe practical help. It really taps into that basic human need for connection, Recognizing we can't do everything alone. It's about trust and vulnerability.
Yeah, vulnerability. Sometimes we forget it's okay to show that. We feel like we have to be totally self-sufficient. That's why the example hits home. During hard times, it's important to have someone you can lean on. It's a reminder that seeking help is okay. It's strong, actually.
It really is. So maybe for you listening, who do you usually lean on when things get tough? Is it family, a friend, a mentor? What kind of support do they give? Just thinking about that can be quite revealing.
Yeah. Definitely food for thought. Okay, next one. Feels very relevant today. To slow down. In this, crazy fast world, Feels like something we all need to do sometimes.
Tell me about it. To slow down. It's about reducing your speed, your pace, physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever it is. It often involves recognizing you're heading towards burnout and needing to rest and recharge, but it can also mean being more deliberate, more mindful, not just rushing through everything.
So not just stopping, but being more intentional with your time and energy.
Exactly. More conscious.
Yeah, I think we could all relate to the example.
Yeah.
I've been working nonstop lately, so I decided to take a weekend off to recharge. Sometimes it feels like a survival tactic.
It really can be.
Yeah.
So maybe think about this. When was the last time you genuinely felt that need to slow down? What were the signs? Feeling drained, overwhelmed. Recognizing those signals is key. Last month for me, juggling way too much. I just felt completely empty. Knew it was time.
Yeah, recognizing the signs is half the battle. Okay, life isn't always smooth sailing, is it? We hit obstacles. Which brings us to bump in the road, a very common way to talk about a small problem.
Right, a bump in the road. It's a minor obstacle, a little snag in a process that was otherwise going okay. The key thing here is how it frames the problem. It suggests it's temporary, manageable, not a total disaster.
Right, it implies you'll get past it. It hasn't wrecked everything.
Exactly, like the example. We had a few bumps in the road when launching the website, but now everything works perfectly. It highlights the eventual success.
So what's a bump in the road you've had to navigate recently? How did you handle it?
Well, recently a project I was excited about got put on hold unexpectedly. That was definitely a bump. But, instead of just getting frustrated, I used the extra time to learn a new software I'd been meaning to tackle. And actually that led to a different, maybe even better opportunity later on.
See, silver lining from the bump in the road.
Exactly. Sometimes they lead somewhere interesting.
Okay, but sometimes the challenges are bigger than just bumps. They require real acceptance. That brings us to come to terms with something. This one feels deeper.
It is deeper, yeah. To come to terms with something means accepting or reconciling yourself to something difficult, unpleasant, maybe even painful. It's rarely quick or easy. It implies an emotional journey, an internal shift to kind of make peace with a tough reality.
Making peace. Not necessarily being happy about it, but accepting it.
Precisely. Finding a way to integrate it into your understanding, your life, and move forward.
Like the example. She finally came to terms with the fact that the job wasn't the right fit for her. That takes time, accepting something like that, especially if you were invested.
It really does. It can be a whole process, which leads to a pretty personal question for you listening. Have you ever had to come to terms with a difficult situation? What was that like for you?
It's something most people face at some point, and it often leads to growth, even if it's hard. Like maybe not getting to your first choice university. It takes time to accept, but then you find a new path. Yeah, finding that new path after acceptance. Okay, we've covered a lot. Let's wrap up with one more. This one's about our natural tendencies to gravitate towards something.
Yes, to gravitate towards something. It means you're just naturally drawn to it, attracted to it, almost like a magnet. It speaks to our inherent preferences, our tastes, our interests, sometimes things we're not even fully conscious of liking. It's not usually a forced decision, more like a natural pull.
A natural pull. I like that. It explains why we end up liking certain things without really deciding to. Like the example, over time I gravitated toward more minimalist design. It wasn't like a sudden choice, just a gradual leaning.
Exactly. It shapes our hobbies, our styles, maybe even our careers, often in subtle ways. So thinking about yourself, what kind of things do you naturally gravitate toward? Music, fashion, activities, books? Like maybe you just find yourself always picking up sci-fi novels, or you gravitate toward chill, relaxing music. It says a lot about your underlying preferences.
It really does. Wow, okay, so that's quite a journey through these idioms. Silver lining, prioritize up front from the ground up, lean on, slow down, bump in the road, come to terms with, and gravitate toward. Understanding these isn't just about, knowing more words. It really helps you get the nuances, doesn't it? Makes conversations richer.
Absolutely. It unlocks a deeper level of understanding and expression. It moves you closer to real fluency. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. As you start noticing these idioms more in conversations, think about how they don't just describe situations. They also reveal a lot about how people think about experiences, about resilience, about connection, about acceptance. Language really is a window into human nature, isn't it?
That's a great point. A window into human nature. So keep practicing, keep exploring these kinds of expressions, and just keep listening. You'll be amazed at what you start to hear.